Yep. And away we go. Friday edition of the show. All across America on SportsMap Radio. Can we just start again? Can we just play the open all over again since I just screwed up the open of the show? All over the world on the SportsMap Radio app. It's good to be with you. Flanked by producer engineer Charles Carter. There we go. See, I forgot you play sound effects. I am Jason Page. And good to have you along with us. Busy 3 hours ahead on this Cinco de Mayo after May the 4th be with you. Every day is something. Yeah. Yes. There we go. Oh, you were waiting for this, baby. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I got no rhythm. There we go. Yeah. If that doesn't scare them away, they're here for the night. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. That is the phone number if you want to be a part of the program. Anything at all you want to talk about. It's a free-for-all Friday, let's just say. You want to talk about it, I'm here. Anything at all. I don't even know if it has to be sports. Hey, you just want to ask me something? Just want to ask Jason Page anything and hear what he has to say about it? I've got an opinion about everything. So if you start, asking me questions about it, I'm going to give you an answer. Same thing goes on the text line tonight. Ask Page anything. We used to do this on my overnight show on NBC Sports Radio back in the day. Rest in peace, NBCSR. We used to do a thing called Ask Page Anything. And every day, one day during the week, I don't remember what day we used to do it, you could literally ask me anything. It could be anything. It could be if you had love advice, had a quarrel with your significant other, you're sleeping on the couch, dinner decisions, anything. Anything you wanted to ask me, you could ask. We'll bring that back tonight. Maybe we'll make it a staple of Friday shows. Maybe we'll bring back Ask Page Anything on Fridays. You can ask me anything you want. So the phone number is 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004 from anywhere in America, anywhere at all. And if you want to text the show, feel free to do that as well. 888-670-8549, the cash-in exclusive text line. That is only for this show. Don't go texting me when somebody else's show is on. It's only for this show. 888-670-8549 if you want to hit me up there. By the way, boy, it's like the Devil's Stanley Cup was beating the Rangers. They're getting pistol whipped by the Hurricanes. 4-0 Carolina. Ooh. I should say 4-0 Hartford Whalers because that's who they really are. It's really the Hartford Whalers. We got to just make sure we sort of make that clear. So that's one playoff game tonight. The other is Boston and Philadelphia, the first of a playoff doubleheader for the NBA tonight. It's 103-96 Boston. Time running down in the fourth quarter of that game. About 3.5 minutes to play. And every time Philadelphia gets close in this game, Boston has the answer. And that kind of feels like what you're going to see in this series. Maybe it goes 6. I'd be shocked if it went 7. If Boston plays the way Boston is supposed to play, unless Boston takes a nap during a couple of these games, like they did in game 1 at home, where they just sort of sleptwalked through the game. Is it sleptwalked or sleepwalked? I'm going to say it's probably sleepwalked. But anyway, as they did in game 1, unless you see that sort of thing, from them, they're just a superior team. And I know everybody likes to talk about Doc Rivers versus Joe Mazzulla and the battle of these two head coaches. The reality is so much of this is played out on the court. These two teams know each other. They play each other a bunch of times during the year. All the players know each other. They know each other's tendencies. They've seen the film. They've now played each other 7 or 8 times by this time of the year. It's not going to be a situation where anybody's got any secrets. It's who's executing. It's who's playing harder. And the Celtics have the guys to do that. So Boston should win this series and play the winner of the Knicks and the Heat, which I think will be the Knicks, but you never know. That's why they play the games. Game 3 of that series in Miami, I think tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, there's that to get into. There's all sorts of baseball action to talk about tonight. Our 2-for-1 tonight is our friend and somebody I love talking to. In the 2-for-1 tonight, we'll have a conversation with Bob Nightingale, senior MLB writer for USA Today. Bob Nightingale will join us on the show. And we'll get some thoughts with him on all things baseball. We're going to go through the American League in the first segment with him, coming up 25 minutes from now. Then we'll get into the National League with him in the second segment, about 40 minutes from now. So all things baseball with him tonight while we monitor these playoff games. The second NBA playoff game tonight, a must-win for the Phoenix Suns at home, minus Chris Paul, against a Denver Nuggets team that could smell a trip to the Western Conference Championship in their future, and a Western Conference Championship, that feels like it's within grasp for Denver. I mean, I don't think you're going to make them an underdog in any series with the Lakers or the Warriors, regardless of who comes out of that series. So Denver can smell it. A potential trip to an NBA championship series, potentially, a few weeks away, depending on how things play out here over the next week or two. Denver is certainly going to be a factor. So we have obviously that to get into. Can I just say this? I've gotten to a point. It took me for a long time to get to this point. I used to be don't hot dog it guy. The bat flip stuff used to bother me. Guys, sort of running around the bases all animated after they hit a home run and making gestures towards the crowds and the dugout. That stuff used to bother me. Can I tell you, I've gotten to a point now with baseball where I've just given up on the idea that it's ever going to change or that it's going to change back to what it was, where guys hit a home run, they ran around the bases, and they came home. We live in this video game era where everything is about entertainment, and now everything's about trying to speed up the game. All these different things that we've seen change in baseball over the last 20 years. And that's just the direction the game is going now. It's about trying to make it as entertaining a product as possible. And Major League Baseball is not going to flip out when Wander Franco decides to take a routine ground ball, flip the ball in the air to himself, and then throw to first base. I mean, how many guys have to do a crazy windmill dunk in the NBA? Think about this. It's just like the NBA. Back in the day when guys used to have a breakaway, they'd go in, they'd lay it up, or they'd dunk the basketball. Well, as the game of basketball evolved, it became guys doing a 360 windmill or something between their legs or throwing it off the backboard. There were all these different types of things that evolved in basketball to make it a more entertaining product. I mean, that's one of the things we've seen in the NBA. And now it's commonplace to see those things. Well, baseball's a little late to that party, but now baseball is starting to get there. Bat flips, the animated, activity running around the bases, Wander Franco flipping a ball to himself, whatever it's going to be. If it makes the game more entertaining and drives more eyeballs to it and gives us something to talk about, you know what? I don't care anymore. You were going to say something, Charles? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. No, I knew. I just don't usually take calls in the first segment. Yeah. No, I saw it. It's good. No, it's okay. We're just getting to know each other, you and I. So we got to get on with that's okay. It's like spring training for you and me, because you and I haven't worked together. Other people who work with me, generally, most shows won't take calls in the first segment. So that's okay. It's okay. I'll get to Sam, and if he's not still there, he can call back. But we'll get to Sam in the next segment. That's okay. All right. But yeah, no, it's I look around baseball right now. Don't bother me. I'm okay with it now. Now I've gotten to a point where I want to be entertained. There's a million things fighting for my eyeballs when it comes to entertainment value these days. I had the Yankees and Rays on tonight. I had three things on. I was watching hockey on one thing. I was watching hockey on my phone. I was watching the Yankees on my TV, and I was watching 76ers Celtics on my iPad. I literally had three things going at once tonight. I was more than multitasking. I had it on lockdown. And the reason I had the Yankees and Rays on, those two teams don't like each other very much. And I thought there was going to be a brawl at one point when Randy Arozarena got hit by a pitch for the second time in the game after hitting a home run in his first at bat and literally making 5 different gestures either towards the crowd or towards the dugout as he was going around the bases. 5 different things he did going around the bases. It's a lot if you do 1 or 2 these days. He did 5. And then he got plunked his next 2 at bats. And I was like, oh boy, you know what's about to hit the fan. But it didn't. Cooler heads prevailed. Kevin Cash got thrown out, the manager of the Rays. And the Rays beat the Yankees 5-4, and they're going to win everything this year, right? Tampa Bay is 27-6, for the love of Pete. They're 27-6. Their run differential is plus 115. There's no way they can keep up this pace. By the end of the year, their run differential is going to be like plus 400 at this rate. It's insane. They're 18-2 at home, and nobody even goes to watch them. They had a good crowd tonight, though. All right. Ask Paige anything on the show tonight. It starts now. We just don't take calls in the first segment, so my apologies to folks on that. 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004. Ask me anything, text me anything. We're coming back. The Cash In at SportsMap Radio. Yeah, I'll never take calls in the first segment. That's for me. Yeah, I saw it. Yep, and that's exactly the way to do it, is text me. Yeah, so if anybody ever calls in the first segment, just tell them either hold or call back. But, you know, he'll take calls. I'll take calls in the second segment. Oh, my arm is brown. Won't be me. Oh, my arms are so much color.
Look at that.
Yeah. What the hell? What the heck happened here?
We have reservations at Evening Citizen at 8:30 p.m. tomorrow.
What gender neutral names? What the hell? Sam is gender neutral? Yeah. Oh, yeah, there are. You're right. There are women named Sam. That's true. What the hell happened to my headphones? Yeah, Payton. Yeah. What a strange... Christian? I don't see a lot of female Christians, do you? Really? Shoot, these headphones are starting to bite it.
Is this still under warranty?
No. Remember, these were on clearance when we got them. Shoot. Hunter? There's female hunters? What? What in the Sam hell is going on? That's funny.
Okay, you are going.
Well, Boston's going to get a win in game number 3 in Philadelphia tonight. It's a wrap. So they'll reclaim home court advantage. And look, I think this is the start of the sort of the steady downfall for Philadelphia this year. Maybe they win game 4. I mean, Boston's a better team. They're going to win this series. I've got little doubt in my mind that Boston will win this series at this point. You guys want to reach out or do an Ask Paige Anything on this Friday edition of the show. The telephone number, 1-800-224-2004, 800-224-2004, from anywhere in America, anywhere at all. If you want to text the show, you can do that as well. 888-670-8549. Ask your question there. 888-670-8549. Text from East Haven, Connecticut, my hometown. Somebody listening there says, so Jay, what's the best choice the Jags made during this year's draft? Just asking from East Haven, Connecticut. That's a really good question. I'd be lying to you if I said I actually analyzed the Jaguars draft. I gave this long speech a few days ago about the draft. And my sentiments on the NFL draft is going crazy trying to analyze a draft class. It's like judging a meal based on what it looks like on the menu. That's what judging the draft right now is to me. It's the equivalent of looking at a menu that's got pictures on it and going, oh, that's really good. This restaurant must be great. You wouldn't judge a restaurant that way, would you? You'd eat the meal. You'd consume the goods. It's like buying a shirt without trying it on. It's like saying, wow, that shirt looks really good. Well, it may not look really good on you. You know what I mean? So I don't understand the big hoopla when it comes to the draft. Yeah, there are certain guys that are no-brainers that you watch. And even the quarterback position. Look at how many top quarterback picks are busts every year in the National Football League. All the guys that just fail miserably in the league. And we could go through the whole laundry list of guys that have been drafted high at the quarterback position, going all the way back to Todd Marinovich, and start talking about these guys that just never got it done. Oh, it looked great. And I'm sure, Mel Kiper and everybody looked at the draft class and said, wow, what a great pick that was. And then it doesn't wind up working out. And then we wash, rinse, repeat every year. And those same people who told you so-and-so is going to be so good, and they didn't wind up being good. And we're taking their advice next year. That's why I take the draft stuff. I take the draft stuff with a grain of salt every year for that reason. Because it's just, to me, it's not sensical. Some guys don't project from college to the pro game. Some guys do, some guys don't. It's the same thing in baseball all the time. How many times you see a prospect tearing it up in AAA? Joe Adell is a great example of this. If you don't know who he is and you don't follow baseball, go look at Joe Adell, crushing it in the minors. Dude's a total stud. Everybody, projecting him to do this, projecting him to do that. He's a great player, blah, 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 on and on and on. Joe Adell gets to the major leagues, could hit a bus if you were throwing it up to the plate. He'd swing and miss. Now, look, maybe that changes this year and he comes around and he winds up starting to play to his potential. Some guys just develop later than others. But not everything is predictable based on, past performance at a lower level. The college game, we all like to make a big deal out of Alabama and Georgia and Texas and Notre Dame and Ohio State and all these schools. You know what? Every year, guys get drafted from those teams into the NFL, right? Do you know how many guys from those teams don't make it into the NFL? You know how many of those guys wind up playing in the CFL? No offense. The XFL? No offense. The USFL? No offense. Arena football? No offense. But don't make it to the NFL? So just because you're a standout, even at the highest levels of college football, it doesn't guarantee success when you get to the NFL. There isn't anything that guarantees it. Some guys just make the transition and can continue to play at that level on the highest stage in the world. Some guys can't. And we see this time and time again. I could sit here all day and say C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or Jalen Carter or Will Anderson or any of these guys are just going to be so amazing at the next level. I don't know that. And anybody telling you they know that doesn't know that. They're guessing based on what they've seen early on. And look, and to go back to the original question, because I know I've kind of gone a bit astray here. From the question that was asked by our friend in East Haven, Connecticut, asking about the Jaguars draft. And say hello to Harrison for me. He's the cutest kid in the world. He's probably like 13 now. It's been so long since I saw him. But, to go back to the question about the draft. Well, Sports Illustrated, the Jaguars had a franchise record, 13 draft picks. But what does that all mean? Sports Illustrated put out its rankings of the Jaguars draft class. And Sports Illustrated's Matt Verderam, friend of this program, by the way, ranked the Jaguars 13-player class as the 14th best class in the AFC. And I love Matt, and I'll have him on the show next week, and I'll joke around about this with him. We all put these rankings out there. Nobody knows. Nobody knows until these guys get to the next level. You start seeing them in preseason games, and then you see them in action. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea. So we're all just guessing when it comes to this stuff. That's why I don't get deep into the weeds on the draft. You know what? NFL training camp starts in what? July? June, late June, early July, we start talking about NFL training camps. Yeah, thank you. They start playing games in August. And then before you know it, the regular season starts in September, that first week in September, and we all get giddy and it's fun. And Thursday night Thursday night football to open the season. All that stuff's great. We do this all the time. Then we could try and figure it out. Even college basketball. I take college basketball for what it is. It's fun to watch on the surface. It's great. Trying to automatically predict where some of these guys that are drafted 10th or 11th or 12th, who had a good draft, who had a bad draft, it's all guesswork. And it's amazing because guys make their living on just educated guesswork. And obviously you're drafting for fit and you're drafting for needs that you have within your organization. Go look what the Packers did in this year's draft. Boy, forever. It's got to be comical on some level for Aaron Rodgers. It has to be comical. He has to. Of all the things, Aaron Rodgers forever would scream about the fact that the Packers never were drafting up until like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. The Packers never drafted receivers for him. He had the same old guys running out there every year. And if there's one thing that I side with Aaron Rodgers on, it's the fact that it felt like he never had the guys. They never went and drafted the guys where he felt like they had the biggest need. They'd go and draft anything, including a quarterback, to not draft a receiver in like the first or second round. And that used to drop. Yes. And then this year they drafted 1 million wide receivers. They went and drafted every wide receiver that they could possibly get their hands on. And if I'm Aaron, yes. Oh my God. I don't think it's by accident. I don't think it's by accident. Nah. Wrap the tinfoil tightly around my head. I don't think it's by accident. I think they knew exactly what they were doing. Okay, Aaron's gone. Let's build an army of receivers around Jordan Love. Some of them will stick. I mean, if they hit on half of them, that's going to be an amazing receiving core. Who knows, though? They could swing and miss on all of them. They could hit on all of them. Who knows? It's all guesswork. I'm rooting for Jordan Love, though. Oh, absolutely. I'm absolutely rooting for Jordan Love. That guy's paid his dues and just sat there and waited. The same way Aaron Rodgers did behind Brett Favre. I'm absolutely rooting for Jordan Love. And the brief little glimpses we've had of him, I think he could play. You're going to deal with some growing pains if you're a Packers fan. We know you're listening up there in Appleton. I'm not as big a believer in Trey Lance as I am Jordan Love. And I don't think the Niners are either, since Sam Darnold is everywhere. We're coming back. Talk baseball with Bob Nightingale next. Cool. It's funny. My left earpiece, which is the one that's been giving me problems, literally when I went to go take it out of my ear, and it's not like I have like a boatload of earwax in my ear and that's why it didn't come out, but I went to go pull it out and half of the earpiece came out and the other half was still in my ear. And it was like the casing around it. And there are these in-ear monitors like you see people wear on TV. So that's what I'm dealing with tonight. And only our video audience can understand what I'm talking about right now because you could actually see them. Like, if you look at me on the video feed, you'll see you can't really see that I have earpieces in. But these go in ear. And while they're not as good as over-the-ear headphones, they're much better for a video presentation, which is what I'm trying to give you guys. So I went to go take the earpiece out. Like, I'm going to take it out right now, and hopefully it doesn't come apart in my ear again. But ever since I did that, now all of a sudden, the problem I've had with this left earpiece cutting in and out, it's not cutting in and out anymore. It's the strangest thing. Yeah, I need a new one though. I've had these for a few years. And I don't treat things lightly. These are nice. They're Sennheisers. They're really cool. Show my audience on camera what it looks like. See, there's no earwax on it. I take care of my ears. The Gimpy. It's the Gimpy. Gimpy. Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very... For this interview, you can come back with a regular rejoin. It doesn't have to be particularly fast because I already...
I think they got to be the heavy favorite now to win the AL East. It's not by a fluke.
On this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very familiar to our audience, Bob Nightingale, USA Today senior MLB writer, joins us on the program. All right, let's start in the American League and start with just wrapped up shortly before we came on the air tonight. Tampa Bay beats the Yankees, start of a 3-game series at the Trop. The place had a lot of people in it for a change, and Tampa Bay just continues to roll this year. They're 27-6. They are 18-2 at home. They won a close one tonight. Talk about this Rays team, and I mean, is this something that is sustainable?
I'm not sure this pays, but I think there's certainly a 100-win team for sure. I think they got to be the heavy favorite now to win the AL East, and then it's not by a fluke. I mean, just everything's going right. I mean, they're hitting, they're pitching, they're playing great defense. So yeah, it's not like Pittsburgh has had a lot of fluke wins here and there. No, they just keep doing it, game after game. I do think it's sustainable.
Bob, how do they? The payroll is like nothing. I mean, there's got to be some disconnect. It can't, I mean, because in that regard, it is fluky when you look at the team's payroll and match it up with, the rest of the big payrolls around baseball. Are they really just that good about where they're spending their money, their scouting, picking up guys in free agency, whatever it may be? There's got to be something we're missing here.
Yeah, I mean, they find guys that teams don't think that much of. And they trade guys, at the right time. I mean, when they traded Blake Snell, he was a Cy Young winner, and he's been very mediocre in San Diego. Trade Austin Meadows. He hasn't done anything in Cleveland. They know their guys better than anybody else. I mean, every team should, but they don't make mistakes. Just a very sharp front office. Guys are comfortable playing there with the coaching staff. Guys leave there, and they're not the same guy. Chris Archer wasn't the same guy. But these, make fabulous moves. And, they're an outlier when everybody complains about, big market versus small market. I mean, here's a small market team doing it year after year.
And I got to say, Bob, I know a 15,000 on a weeknight to most people is no big deal. But when I see them draw 15,000 on a weeknight against Pittsburgh, granted, Pittsburgh's been a surprise, and we'll get to them in a second. It's kind of interesting to me. It almost feels like people are slowly starting to come around in that market to come and watch this team. They're never going to draw 35,000 fans on a weeknight or anything like that, like you see with the Cardinals, Yankees, Dodgers, the Mets, so on. But it does feel like fans are starting to buy in to this team being perennially good, and maybe that helps provide the impetus for them to get a stadium deal done.
Yeah, and I think, the fans don't want to see that team leave. I think the fans are realizing, oh, my God, we got the best team in baseball. Everybody's writing about us. Everybody has us on TV now. We're a fun team, exciting team. It's just a bad location, and, nobody wants to be indoors on a nice night. It reminds me a lot of the Metrodome, Minnesota. Same thing. Fans are not showing up. When the Twins started winning, then fans started showing up. I think the same thing here. I know they're supposed to take the tarp off today at in the upper deck.
They did.
Of the series, so finally get some nice crowds in there.
All right, move from Tampa Bay to Baltimore. We say Tampa Bay is sustainable. Is Baltimore sustainable?
I think they could sort of compete for a wild card spot. Last year they came out of nowhere, and they were right in the playoff race until the very end. This is after selling off a couple pieces at the trade deadline. So I do. I remember in spring training, two GMs, one in particular, says, you know what, my bold pick right now is the Yankees don't make the playoffs. And I said, come on, they're going to make the playoffs. He goes, look at that division. I mean, you're looking at the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles. You can see the Yankees getting left behind.
How much is the unbalanced schedule contributing to this? The fact that you don't have to see Baltimore play the Yankees 15 or 18 times and vice versa.
Yeah, it's much more fair. At least now, it's like teams in the AL Central, AL West, particularly AL Central, have such a huge advantage playing against a soft division, game after game. So it will help. I mean, it's only 6 games different per team, but for a team like Baltimore, they would have to get their brains beat in by the Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox sort of thing. So I think it does make a difference, but I do think it's much more fair.
Bob Nightingale, USA Today senior MLB writer, joining us here on the Cash In the 2-for-1 tonight. Stay in that AL East. Let's just finish it out. Boston, has surprised some people here, winning the 6 straight. They're in Philadelphia tonight. Toronto at 19-14 was in a bit of a skid for a little while, and then obviously the Yankees who are dealing with all these injuries, and you got to send Brian Cashman out there into the dugout one day this week just to address the media because everybody's losing their minds that the Yankees are 17-16 when half their team is on the injury list.
Right. I know. Just everybody panics so much. Everybody wants people fired. You want the new White Sox manager Pedro Gaffal fired. You want Ali Marmol fired. Fans wanted Aaron Boone fired this week. Talking to Dave Martinez, the Nationals manager, and they were 19-31 in 2019. They stayed the course and won it all. It's like you got to give a little more time. You got to give it at least another month and a half to see what a team really is about.
Yeah, I mean, people, even Rob Thompson in Philadelphia, and I'll get to the NL in a second, but even Rob Thompson in Philadelphia, this guy was the toast of the town last year when Joe Girardi got let go. The team goes on a run. They make the playoffs. It's great. Now, all of a sudden, people are losing their minds about Rob Thompson?
Yeah, it's like, what have you done for me lately?
Wow.
It's like people are going crazy over Twin La Russa. But you know what? The same guys, and they're playing worse than the new manager, Pedro Gaffal, they were La Russa. So all of a sudden people say, you know what? It wasn't La Russa's fault after all. Now they're all over everybody in the front office.
I'll gloss over the AL Central because it just seems like that division is the same every year where somebody's going to win, 88 games, 87 games and win the division. It'll be Minnesota or Cleveland, and we'll figure it all out later. AL West, I know Houston's dealing with a lot of injuries in the pitching department. Where do they go right now? I know it's early, and like Brian Cashman was saying, you can't really go and trade for guys this early, so you just got to kind of rely on some of these other arms that you have floating around in the minor leagues. Is that what Houston has to do right now with 3/5 of their rotation in doubt right now?
Yeah, they do. No choice. I mean, Garcia was had such a good season last year. They were counting on him big time. Or Kitty, not too much. 4th, 5th starter, but still. And of course McCullers, such a veteran. So yeah, big blows. And this is after losing, in the beginning before the season started, when you lose Michael Brantley and Jose Altuve, 2 big guys, particularly Altuve. So yeah, I mean they just got to hold the course here and hold on tight until June rolls around and hoping he gets some help.
Josh Young has been fantastic in Texas, really developing into the star that I think they all thought he would be with the Rangers. I know they've had some injuries, some issues as far as arms, but you look at run differential, they're basically the second best in the American League. Is Texas early to the party right now?
Yeah, I thought they'd be at least a year away. But yeah, I mean, it shows you too what a manager can do. That's pretty much the same team, particularly since DeGrom's been hurt. And here's Bruce Bochy, getting this team right, by himself. But they're playing, very good baseball. The offense is really powerful, and the pitching a little bit better than expected. But you look at their new pitching coach is the Cardinals' old pitching coach, Mike Maddox, and he's done wonders.
Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very familiar to our audience, Bob. Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very familiar to our audience, Bob Nightingale, USA Today senior MLB writer, joins us on. Continuing the conversation with Bob Nightingale, USA Today. It's a good question. I don't know that for sure. They're not going to get swept, though. They're not. They'll win a game. Would it? They're not going to get swept. I wouldn't be shocked if they won tonight. Just teams, subconsciously teams take their foot off the pedal sometimes. And I could see that happening with Denver, which has a tendency to play soft at times. Jesus Christmas. Jokic just looks like a giant barrel with legs. Basket counts and the foul. Who the hell is that dude? Nightingale, USA Today, senior MLB. Continuing the conversation with Bob Nightingale, USA Today. What'd you say? Does he really? That's funny. I have a loud voice too, though. Like, I've always had issues. Every studio that I've ever worked out of, like at radio stations and stuff, people always say they can hear me through like the soundproofing in studios next door and stuff like that. I speak loudly. I have only an outdoor voice. It's not something, it is what it is. Played golf today. Played 18 from the longest tees on the course. I played like shit. I shot 95, and I'm usually high 80s, but I don't typically play courses that are as long as the one I played today. I mean, like the par fours I was playing were like 440, 450, 430. And I mean, I hit the driver pretty good, but even a 250-yard drive on a course with 430-yard holes, I got to hit 180 into the green, which is a 4 or 5 iron, and I'm typically hitting 7 or 8 irons into some of these holes. It's really challenging, really challenging. I had one birdie, so that was cool. Wait, Ronda Rousey music here? Charles, do you like wrestling? Please say yes. Huh? Do you? Okay, that's good. Because Brian, see, this is good. Because Brian's a big wrestling fan. And from time to time, he and I will delve into the WWE, maybe even a little AEW, mostly just WWE. Because I barely have enough time to watch WWE anymore. Yeah. What do you mean? WCW. Okay. who is not very svelte these days, by the way. Yeah, it's kind of like what happened with WCW, though. And that's a little before your time, but like WCW. Yeah, like WCW went and got all the WWE and WWF retreads, and they made a lot of money with it for a while until it just, sort of fizzled out. But I think AEW's still got some potential. I think Tony Khan and those guys are doing a fairly good job. Our friend is a friend of the show, is actually one of the announcers on the broadcast. He does the interviews in the back. What the hell's his name? I can't think of his name. He comes on the show and I don't remember his name. Ain't that grand? Yeah, I know. It's just that my brains are mashed potatoes. Let's continue the conversation now with our friend Bob Nightingale, who does a great job with USA Today, their senior MLB writer. Continuing the conversation with Bob Nightingale, USA Today, senior MLB writer, joining us here on the program. All right, move over to the National League here for a second. Talk a little bit about this National League Central with Pittsburgh, obviously at 20-13. I was having a conversation with Brian Kenny last week over at MLB Network, and he says that he thinks Pittsburgh is still a little early to the party. They're at least a year away from being able to contend. I know they just went into Tampa Bay and got their clocks cleaned a bit. They've lost 5 in a row, leaking a little bit of oil. Have we seen the best of the Pirates, or can they kind of right the ship?
I think they'll hang around just because you're the NL Central. They're in a bad division. But I do think they're a year away. I agree with that. A couple of GMs have told me they'd be surprised if they finish 500. I think they will finish around 500 just because the division's so bad. But, yeah, at least it shows the fans, hey, here's light in the tunnel here. We're not that far away. And, look out next year. They should be a serious contender.
Yeah, and O'Neal Cruz still isn't back from injury, and when they get him back, that'll obviously improve some things a bit. They gave a $100 million deal to Brian Reynolds. First time they've ever done that in their franchise history. That has to give fans a little bit something to root for. And again, you're right, that division, again, much like the AL Central, just feels like it's one that's going to meander through the season, and we'll look up in September, and there'll be 3 teams in the mix. The Cubs have been a bit of a surprise early on at 16-16. Do they have any staying power? What has surprised you about Chicago?
Well, they've been playing very good defense. Had some solid pitching, particularly starting rotation. And I think they'll hang around. I think same thing. I think they're a lot like Pittsburgh. 1 year away, should be around a 500 team. Then you say, okay, who's going to win this division? I mean, the Cardinals, stink right now. It's really the Brewers' division to lose. But the Brewers just got swept in Colorado, by a bad Rockies team. So we'll see. But I think you can win that division by winning 86, 87 games.
NL West, Dodgers, Arizona, San Diego, all near the top of that division right now. The Dodgers playing better baseball of late. They've won 8 of 10. San Diego, we all thought this was a Dodgers-Padres sort of division and a race to the finish this year. It's starting to shape up that way, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like Padres, Dodgers all over again. I mean, people are writing the Dodgers off, but they still have, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and, Will Smith, on and on. And some great young talent. So I think it'll be a dogfight all year between Dodgers, Padres. I think Arizona's same thing, 1 year away. They're short in pitching. They got 2 starting pitchers and then a big drop off. But they're a fun team to watch, an improved team, and they should hang around at least in the wild card race.
But again, when you talk about all these wild card teams, it feels like a lot of these teams are going to be able to hang around through much of the season, get to the trade deadline, and potentially make a move that gets them over the hump, don't they? I mean, in the case of a Pittsburgh or an Arizona, I mean, they've got the chips to do it, don't they?
They do. But when you're a team like Pittsburgh or Arizona, you've gone through this painful rebuild. You don't want to go backwards and say, oh, man, I'm going to trade my prospects now to go get some immediate help. You've been just patient. You've gone through all the pain. Want to hold on, one more a year from now. So I don't see those teams doing it. And also, when you look at trade deadline, you're not going to see a Max Scherzer or a Trey Turner, traded. I think it's going to be a very soft trade market because too many teams are in the race.
Couple of issues outside of all these teams we're talking about before I let you go. Obviously, the situation in Oakland. We looked this week. You had 2 nights where they drew less than 3,000 fans. Is baseball just going to let this happen for the next 2 years where this thing is an absolute dumpster fire to watch in Oakland? It already has been for a long time. But is baseball just going to sit idly by and watch this?
I think they will. I think they feel like they have no choice, and they can't force the owner to spend money. They can't force them to, make trades and sign free agents. So, I just saw where A's now are selling tickets for the rest of the summer, $99, whatever amount of games you want to come see.
Wow.
So, it's a shame. And we'll see what happens. I mean, nothing's been brought up in front of the Nevada legislature yet. They need $500 million in funding to build a new stadium. So, and pretty much Nevada's already said, hey, we're tapped out. We gave all our money to the Raiders and got our hockey team. So we'll see what happens.
$99, go see as many games as you want. Could you imagine? It's mind-boggling when you think about it. I'll tell you one guy who's going to play his way out of there, and I say that in a good way. Brent Rooker's off to a great start for them. He's sort of a journeyman, was in the Twins organization for a while. If he keeps playing well, that feels like the kind of guy they'd move later on, doesn't it?
It does, but it's the type of guy you should keep. But yeah, you're right.
But they're not. They're not going to keep him if he's any good.
No, well, as long as they're not making money, you might as well. But yeah, they do have a couple of young pitchers that have stepped up and have done well. But yeah, it's a joke what's going on there, and you feel so bad for the players stuck there and a guy like especially a veteran and a Mark Kotze, the manager.
Yeah, you do. Last one before I let you go. What's the reaction around baseball to Wander Franco flipping a baseball around? And I know Brian Reynolds was upset about it with the Pirates. Are people around baseball as angry as the media makes it sound? Or is it really just, a select few grumpy people that are mad that, he's sort of hot dogging it and trying to provide a little more entertainment value? I've gotten to the point where this stuff used to bother me, and now I just accept it's part of the game. It's built into the entertainment value of baseball. The bat flips, the showboating going around the bases, it's just all built in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot like the bat flip. When bat flip was upsetting everybody, now people tolerate it and say, okay, it's good for the game, it's good for the young kids. We'll see if young kids start doing what, Franco did. Now, if Franco had dropped that ball, he would have looked like a complete idiot. So, you got to be careful there as well. We'll see. I don't think this one bothered people too much, because I think one of the things too is, okay, did he do that on purpose? Did it slip out of his hand? Sort of thing. Where the bat flip is is becoming accepted. I'm not sure this will be accepted yet, but I'm not sure we got a reason for him, whether he did it on purpose or whoops. I didn't get my hand right on it, so I had to do it that way.
Bob Nightingale, USA Today, senior MLB writer. It's always good to catch up with you, my friend. Enjoy the days out at the ballpark. We'll talk again soon.
All right, look forward to it. Thanks.
Oh, my earpiece went bye-bye. I don't know how to do this. Well, we're back already. Damn it. It's time for a new air piece. All right, another hour of the show starts right now. SportsMap Radio. SportsMap Radio app. Oh, I got a damaged earpiece. Sad day. It couldn't last 2 more hours and just let me buy a new one over the weekend. No. That could not happen. I may have to wear headphones on the show tonight. I know. I got one better for you than that.
Damn you!
Yeah. It's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
Damn you all to hell!
Thank you. I just this earpiece just started going all loopy. I did some surgery on it during the break at the top of the hour, and now I got a half-working earpiece. It's falling out of my ear. That's what we're dealing with for the next 2 hours tonight. It's Ask Paige Anything night. No matter where you are in the country, no matter what you're doing, no matter what's on your mind, you actually have the ability tonight to text or email on absolutely anything. It could have something to do with sports. It could be anything. That's why it's Ask Paige Anything. We had a couple of questions in the first hour of the show, and you're more than welcome to hit me up with anything you want to here in the second hour as well. Hello to our friends listening in Dallas, 97.1 The Freak. I know you guys have just tuned in. So thank you for checking in on the show. 1-800-224-2004 is the telephone number if you want to call in. 800-224-2004. The text line number is 888-670-8549. We give you a couple of options. Not everybody likes the sound of their own voice. Not everybody's comfortable talking in front of a national radio audience. I may be a little too comfortable talking in front of a national radio audience. So you can text. You can call, you can text, whatever works for you. 800-224-2004, again, on the call-in line. And then if you want to text the show, the number, 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549 if you want to reach out to us that way. NBA playoff game going on. Of course, that is the big story of our late window tonight. It's Denver on top of Phoenix, 37-35, with the Suns hanging on for dear life for their playoff hopes here, this series tonight. If they obviously lose this game, they'll be down 3-0, and we know no team in the NBA has ever come back down 3-0 in a playoff series, and I do not believe the Suns would be the first team to do it. So they obviously need a win tonight. Tough contested game, and obviously with no Chris Paul. I mean, it is all on Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton to just try and figure out a way to get through this game, get a win, live to fight another day, and see if you could somehow get this thing evened up at 2 games apiece. We'll wait and see, obviously, if that happens. Carolina thumped New Jersey tonight 6-1, and I said it at the top of the show. I'll say it again. It almost feels like the Stanley Cup final for the Devils was their 7-game series win against the New York Rangers, because right now they simply cannot get out of their own way these first 2 games against Carolina. However, it should be noted, and that's why we're here, to try and give you the positive, the plus side, something to make you feel a little better if you're a Devils fan and you're hoping for a longer series. The good news is this. They were down 2-0 to the Rangers and got swallowed up whole in those first 2 games against the Rangers. They wound up winning the series in 7. So to simply say it's over, they can't win, we obviously can't go too crazy with the hyperbole on that front. By the way, speaking of teams that we should get excited about when they win, the Oakland A's are on the verge of a win tonight. Yes, you heard me right. The dreadful, terrible, awful Oakland A's, who I think have 6 wins all season. Those Oakland A's are on the verge of a win tonight against a team that's almost as bad as them, and that's Kansas City. Oakland leads Kansas City 11-8 in the top of the 9th tonight in KC. So Oakland trying to get a victory. We'll always root for them. By the way, how about the Detroit Tigers? Bust them out. After a 3-game sweep of the Mets, on the verge of winning their 4th in a row in that wide-open AL Central, Detroit leads St. Louis tonight. Boy, the Cardinals are just awful. I mean, the Cardinals are just dreadful. And fans are still going right now. I'll be curious. That team is one of the best drawing teams in all of baseball. I will be very curious to see if those fans are coming out in July, if that team is like 15 games under 500. Because Cardinal fans are among the most loyal in all of baseball. Cubs fans were like that for a number of years. St. Louis Cardinal fans, right now, that team is 10-22. Now, if we get to July and they're like 20-40, are fans still coming out? I'm very skeptical as to whether fans will continue coming out to those games. David in Austin, Texas is hitting us up on the text line tonight. 888-670-8549 if you want to reach out on there. You can ask Paige anything. Listening on 104.9 The Horn, one of our great affiliates on this show. You know what? That's okay. It's not that kind of horn, though, because it's Austin. The horns, hook 'em, Longhorns. Oh boy, wow! You should have just pretended to know what I was talking about and been like, oh yeah, of course. Wow. Yeah, it's all right. No, it's all right. We won't let people in Austin know that you didn't know that. It'll just be our little secret between me and you. Yes, the horn. Now, I don't know how they came up with the freak in Dallas. That's a different one altogether. Because there isn't anything about Dallas that I think, freaky deaky. But that's apparently what they went with in Dallas. I guess they were. I guess the radio industry is kind of running out of names. Remember, I see, you weren't around when the first Jack FM came out. In FM radio, there was this new format that I forget what company tried it. But it was the Jack FM, and they played all these different, guy music, that sort of thing. And they tried all these different things. And now there's all sorts of different ones that have come out since the days of Jack FM. So now it's, the freak, the bet, for sports betting stations, it's the bet, gambler radio. There's all different things. This is just another one. So we love our friends in Dallas, though, listening on the freak, our friends at iHeartRadio there in Dallas. And I worked for iHeart for a number of years in Hartford, Connecticut. So I have a lot of experience with that company. Glad to have them as part of the show. David in Austin, Texas, texting in, says, are you going to try and meet up with Dave in Connecticut? Did I say I was going to Connecticut? How did Dave... I might have. Maybe I let it sneak out because I am traveling to Connecticut in May. So end of May, we'll be going up there for my dad's 80th birthday. Dad's turn. Yeah, it's possible. So my dad's turning 80 later this month, May 23rd, 18 days from now. So thank you. Boy, that applause button's getting a lot of play tonight. Yeah, it is. We got to come up with a different one, I think. We're going to be going out there for my dad's 80th. And maybe we'll see Dave in Connecticut while we're out there. Now that you said it, I'm probably going to have to, since David in Austin, Texas brought up. I got to be honest. I would love to go to some of our bigger affiliates and do shows there for a few days. I brought this up when we first launched in Dallas on 97.1 The Freak. I would love to go to Dallas for a week and just do shows on The Freak. Is there anything stopping us? Is there anything that's stopping us from doing that? Can somebody get me in touch with some folks at The Freak in Dallas, and we'll bring the cash in on location to Dallas for a week? I think we should do that. I think we should make it happen. I know we're only on the last 2 hours there, from 10 p.m. to midnight in Dallas, but I'd come and hang out for a week in Dallas. There's a lot worse places you could spend a week of your life than in Dallas. So I'll do that. I want to get to Houston. We're on in Houston. That's where our flagship is. That's where our home base for SportsMap Radio is. I'd love to come to Houston, do some shows down there for a few days and hang out with the folks there. I've been to Houston once before. I'd come down to Houston and hang with you guys. And Austin is one of the crowned secret jewels in America. Everybody I talk to that goes to Dallas, that goes to Austin, loves Austin. Cool, hip college town, sort of a liberal bastion in that state that is tends to be more conservative. It's kind of a fun place. I would love to go to Austin, go see our friends over there listening on 104.9 The Horn. So if any of those places are listening and you want us to come and hang out, we'll come do the show there for a few days. I have no problem with that. There are these things called airplanes, and I literally live right next to an airport here in Palm Springs, California. We live literally right next to an airport. 10 minutes and I'm in the airport. A half hour and I'm through TSA and already in the terminal. It's the best. Palm Springs Airport is one of the little jewels of the flying world. It's tiny, but you could fly out, get to anywhere you need to. It's a cool place. Phoenix leads Denver 45-39. We'll be keeping tabs on that in this hour of the show. We'll do some NASCAR as we do every Friday on the program. Jerry Bonkowski from NASCAR.com and Auto Week will join us. We'll talk about this week's race with him and where we are in the NASCAR season. So I'm looking forward to talking with Jerry about that. So we got a lot to do in this hour of the program. And we'll see if the Oakland A's can close out the Kansas City Royals and get their 7th win of the season, because why not? There's a lot of baseball going on right now. A lot of late games tonight. We'll keep tabs on all of it. I said I got bad news on the Houston Astros that I was going to get to. I'll pay off that tease coming up on the other side. You're going to have to stick around. It's the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. Good to have you all hanging out with us tonight. If you're watching on the video stream, I don't have some alien growth coming out of my left ear. It's just the earpiece for the headset I use that's giving me issues tonight, unfortunately. But we will persevere. That is what we do. News coming up on the Houston Astros that is not good for the Astros. Yes, David, I could do a week in Texas. I could do a week anywhere. I could do the show anywhere I want. But, I mean, I'd like to go to some of our affiliates around the country and meet some of our listeners and go hang out? That's a great question. I'm just thinking of all the places we're on. All right, just in Texas? Probably Dallas. And I mean, I've been to Houston before, so I would, and I haven't been to Dallas in about 24 years. So it'd be fun to go to Dallas because I haven't been there in forever. I was in Houston just a few years ago. So if I were to put them in, if I were to rank them, it'd probably be Dallas, hello freak, Austin, and then Houston in that order. Yeah, and it's no slight against Houston. It's just I was only there a few years ago. When I went to Houston, I actually went to a what's the MLS team? The Houston what? What are they called? You don't even know when you live there. The Dynamo. Thank you. See, there you go. My friend Chris Canetti used to be like the president of the organization, an old friend of mine. And now he's working for, I think, USA Soccer, or I think he's one of the people involved with the U.S. getting the World Cup and all that stuff. Anyway, he used to run the team, used to run the whole organization, and Chris Canetti had me as a guest right at midfield, like second row on the field for a Dynamo game when I came out to Houston. But I've never been to an Astros game. I've never been to a Rockets game. I've never been to a Texans game. So there's a lot for me to do there. I'd like to go see that ballpark and see where the Astros play. That'd be cool. Is this still Minute Maid? Is that what it's called? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to get over to Minute Maid. That would be cool. But if I go to Austin, but the thing is, like, if I go to Austin outside of football season, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if I don't have any football to watch or Texas basketball or something like that, what am I doing in Austin for a week? I could probably do like 3 days in Austin. Anything longer than that would probably be too long in a week where I don't have any sports to watch. Like I want to mix in some sports with it. Go to Dallas. Obviously, there's lots to go see there. I'd love to go see, that new ballpark the Rangers playing, which is supposed to be really nice. So. The views being expressed by one Charles Carter, producer engineer on the Cash In with Jason Page, do not really reflect the views of Jason Page about the city of Austin. I just want to make this clear. Austin will not be coming with me when I go do the shows for a few days. Charles will not be invited when I go to Austin for a few days. All right. So anyway, bad news for the Houston Astros tonight. Speaking of Houstonians, the team is going to be without one of their stud young pitchers, Luis Garcia, done for the year. He's going to need Tommy John surgery. Another big blow to this Astros rotation. Surgery has not been set yet. He should return at some point during the 2024 season. He's 26 years old. He went on the IL this week, left Monday's game with elbow discomfort against the Giants. He was 2-2 with an ERA of 4 in 6 starts this season. Last year, he was 15-8 with a 3.72 ERA in 28 starts. He was second in AL Rookie of the Year voting after going 11-8 with 3.48 ERA in 30 games, 28 starts. And it comes the same day that the Astros put right-hander Jose Urquidy on the IL with inflammation in his pitching shoulder, which is another big blow for the Astros to deal with. They've been without Jose Altuve, broke his right thumb during the World Baseball Classic. Michael Brantley hasn't played this year. He's recovering from shoulder surgery. Chas McCormick, who's been a piece of this outfield, has been out since April 15th. And by the way, here's the smallest violin in the world playing for the Astros. See this? Smallest violin in the world. Here's why. Every team's got injuries. Every team. I mean, the Yankees have half of their team on the injured list if you heard my conversation with Bob Nightingale. You just got to deal with it. You got to roll through it. You're in a weak-ass division. Go and figure out a way to win enough games to win the division and get healthy. That's it. I feel more sorry, and I know I'm a Yankee fan, which I have to fully disclose, but I'd feel a lot more sorry for the Yankees. They play in a real division with 5 good teams. The Yankees are in dead last, and they're a game over 500. And if the Yankees were 17-16 in the AL West, they wouldn't be in last place, I can promise you. So for me, it's kind of hard to feel bad for the Astros. They've got 130 games to get it figured out, and they will. Astros added right-hander J.P. France to the taxi squad. He's expected to be activated Saturday, make his major league debut against the Mariners. He was drafted in the 14th round by the Astros in 2018. He's 2-1, 2.33 ERA in 5 games this year at AAA Sugarland, striking out 26, walking 11 in 19 and a third innings. So we'll see what he could do. I mean, the Astros should still be the best. If you look at talent in that division, now maybe Texas is ahead of schedule and they figure out a way to hold it together for 162 games. But if you ask me, it feels a lot like, the Astros still should be the class of that division. How about the Phoenix Suns? See? Charles had him here down 3-0 already, was already starting to ask, is Kevin Durant going to get swept for like the 100th time in his career? And now look, Phoenix is up 14 with 1:35 left in the second quarter. What do you have to say for yourself, Charles? You were trying to create a narrative, Charles. Let's just be honest about it. You were trying to create a narrative. What do you have against Kevin Durant? I just want to know. It sounds like you've got a gripe with Kevin Durant. I think you should tweet angry things at him just to see if he tweets back, because he is known to do that. Yeah, he is pretty cupcake soft, so he might. Just saying. You got beef. You got beef with Kevin Durant, don't you? You got beef with Kevin Durant. It's true. Him and Phil Mickelson are the two most responsive athletes on Twitter to just average everyday. God, I don't want to say average people. That's so condescending. To everyday. How about just? I didn't think you had a blue check mark. Oh, I was definitely shocked that you had one. I was wondering who you paid to get one. Are you paying that $8 a month? Are you paying that $8 a month, Sir Charles, huh? You paying that $8 a month? I was actually considering it the other day. I was starting to think about it because my biggest platform, not that it's huge. I think I got 4,500 followers on Twitter. I'm not one of these people that cares how many people follow me. If people do, then great, but it's not something that I literally wake up every day and go, oh my God, I had 3 followers unfollow me yesterday. There's those sites you can click where it's who unfollowed me? I don't care. I don't. Little tip. I don't care. If you want to follow me, great. I think I'm a good follow. But if you don't, I'm okay with that too. But I was thinking about getting the blue check mark. I was thinking about buying it, spending the $8 a month. And then I was thinking, well, if I do that, then I could ask people to subscribe and pay and give exclusive content. And then I'm sitting there with myself going, well, what would be exclusive content? And then I'm sitting here going, well, I do this radio show every night. I could make that exclusive content that people could pay to watch on Twitter and just make my show available only on Twitter for people to watch. I could do that. What do you think, Charles? Would you pay to watch me on Twitter? You better have the right answer to this. If you weren't being paid to work on the show, would you pay to watch me on Twitter knowing what you've seen? If I said a low subscription price, just said you could. You're doing well. You're doing well. Hey, do you like NASCAR? We're going to talk about it in a couple of minutes. Jerry Bonkowski from NASCAR.com and Auto Week is going to join us coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll talk about this week's race, where we are in the chase, and a whole bunch more. Halfway home on the Cash-In. I gotta pay for these new earpieces somehow. So I got this earpiece falling out of my ear. It's awful. Heart of America 200 this week. Heart of America 200. No, I've never been to Austin. That's funny. I truly hate some people. I really do. Let's see. All right. Continuing the conversation with Bob Nightingale, USA Today, senior SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. What's going on here? 67-52 Suns on top of the Nuggets at the half. I told you, I thought Phoenix would win tonight. They figure out a way. Same can't be said for the Sixers, who lost at home tonight. Philadelphia loses to the Celtics. 114-102. Boston leads that series 2-1. So that series 2-1 with, I don't know, maybe game 3 on Sunday. Game 4 on Sunday. I got to look, see when they're playing again. Knicks and Heat tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. Eastern start time for that. Make sure I'm parked at home after like a morning brunch here in Palm Springs for that. Charles, do I sound a little frou-frou when I start to say things like brunch on a Saturday morning in Palm Springs? Oh, you're calling me an elitist. Oh, my God. Wow, shots fired. Yeah, I'm living in Palm Springs. Trust me, it's all just keeping. It's like Paul Giamatti's character in Cinderella Man says, just keeping up appearances. I got to make it look like I live in Palm Springs, California, which is like a vacation town and everything. I don't live that life. Like, I really don't. Like, I was just seeing, now I feel like I do, because before I was talking about playing golf today, going to brunch tomorrow, dinner with friends, drinks tomorrow night. It's like, see, now I got to like blue collar it a bit, talk about changing a tire or something. Speaking of changing tires, they do that in NASCAR. Let's bring in Jerry Bonkowski, who joins the show tonight. NASCAR.com and Auto Week. He does a great job with those and is a friend of mine and a friend of the program. Hi, Jerry.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. I've been called a lot of things in life, and I'm kind of bummed out. I've never been called an elitist. So you got one up on me there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit elitist now after I've sat here and thought about it. I played golf today, went out and played golf, which I don't even get to do that much anymore. Go do the brunch thing this weekend. Yeah, I know. Meanwhile, my earbuds that I used to do the show are falling apart. So it's not all good news for me. The Heart of America. Well, let's see. What do we got this week? Is it the Heart of America 200 or the what do we got? The Advent Health 400. There's so many names to all these different races. When I sit here and go through the schedule, the Advent Health 400 going on this weekend. Kansas Speedway Sunday. 12 p.m. Eastern, which means I got to get up at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday to watch NASCAR, which is always fun. Talk a little bit about, I didn't get to talk to you last week. Where are we at this stage in the season? What's been the biggest surprise to you in terms of where we are at this point in the year?
Well, I would say we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto, but we are in Kansas this weekend, But, I'll tell you, we're at a point right now, we're almost about a quarter of the way through about a quarter of the way through the season. And, this has been really a very odd season. I mean, we've had, a guy like Chase Elliott, he misses 6 weeks because of an injury. Now, Alex Bowman's out for a few weeks because of another injury in one of, his extracurricular activities, if you will.
Fractured vertebrae, right? Was that a fractured vertebrae?
Exactly. Yeah. He's hurting. He's hurting. And, they're saying he'll be back in 3 weeks. I don't think that's going to be a case. I say more like 5, 6 weeks, but that's me talking though. But, and then like today we get the news that a guy that we, for all intent, and I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion because I love this guy. I mean, he and I are good friends. I thought we would never see Ryan Newman again in cup racing, and now he signs for the rest of the season with Rick Ware Racing. So, it's just been a really weird season so far. A lot of things that, you never could have imagined had happened. And, now we've got a guy who's, one of the better drivers in the racing. It'll be interesting to see how his talent, has he lost anything in the last year and a half? Is he with a team that he can bring some success to? I mean, it's going to be an interesting week as well as going forward the next several weeks as well, too.
What happened to Kyle Larson? Because on Monday, it looked like he was on his way to easily a top 5 finish at Dover. What happened to him down the stretch? I know he crashed. Try and give me some sense for what failed him down the stretch there.
Well, one thing about Kyle Larson, and again, I don't mean this in a derogatory fashion, the guy is one of the hardest racers you're ever going to want to race against, be it in a stock car, in a sprint car, dirt car, what have you. He's very much like Kyle Busch. He just doesn't have the attitude, if you will, that Kyle Busch has. Problem is that when you're that late in the race, sometimes you throw caution to win when maybe you should be a little bit more, patient, a little bit more precise. And that's kind of what happened to him. He's done this a number of times in his career. I mean, when he was with Chip Ganassi, he did that so many times. It was like a broken record almost with him. So, a situation that he wants to win every single race. I commend him for that. But sometimes you just got to be a little bit more cautious with, where you're racing and what you're racing. I mean, Dover is a place you can get in trouble very easily. It looks like a very easy track. It's a 1 mile flat, concrete track. But you can get in trouble if you push it a little bit too much, and that's pretty much what happened.
He's the favorite this week, Kyle Larson, at plus 400. What about this track and this setup works well for him?
I don't buy it as him as the favorite, though. I don't think he is going to win this one. I think the guy that's going to win this one is the other Kyle Busch. This is a track that's just plays to his strength. But that's to say that, in saying that, though, I mean, Kyle Larson, certainly has a good team behind him. He's got Hendrick Motorsports behind him. He's got Hendrick Power. Yeah, he could win this one very easily. Do I see him winning, though? No, I just don't see him winning. I just see Kyle Busch is going to win this one. I mean, I think Kyle Busch has, I think a lot of people are maybe a little surprised at how Kyle Busch has performed this year already, because I think a lot of people have figured, okay, he's leaving Joe Gibbs Racing, he's going to Richard Childress Racing, he's not going to do very well. And he's actually done very, very well. 2 wins already. He certainly can win. I'm betting that Kyle Busch by the end of the season has 5 or 6 wins, maybe even more. I mean, he hasn't even gotten into his sweet spot yet of the season. So I think that he has a very good chance of winning this. I mean, it could come down to 2 Kyles, in the final lap, Kyle Busch and Kyle Larson. But there's a lot of other guys. Martin Truex Jr., who wins at Dover, his home track. Finally after 54 races, finally gets a win. His brother winds up winning the Xfinity race a couple days earlier. I think you can see him maybe having a resurrection, if you will, of his career, because there's been a lot of talk that he was going to quit after last year. He came back this year. There's still been talk that he may retire after this season. That's still kind of not, it's kind of up in the air if he's going to or not. But I mean, if he starts winning more, I don't think he's going anywhere. But there's so many guys that can win on this track at Kansas that this is one of those in betting parlance. It's a pick-em race as far as I'm concerned.
Jerry Monkowski, NASCAR.com and Auto Week, joining us here on the Cash In on SportsMap Radio. 8 of the 16 playoff spots have been filled so far in the Cup Series. At what point in the year, if you're sort of one of the odd men out right now and you're not in there, at what point do you start to get a little concerned, start pressing, if you're looking in and saying, all right, we're not in there just yet?
If you're not pressing now, you're out of it. Period. I'm not going to. There's no point even going any further than that. I mean, these guys that are not, that have not won a race, that may be sitting on the bubble, let's say anywhere between 10th and maybe 20th place in the standings right now, they've got to press. They've got to act like there's only one more race to go before the playoff field is set. They've got to do that. I mean, there's still obviously quite a few races, but the sooner you can get yourself qualified for the playoffs, that's going to help you. You can then kind of relax, if you will. And, with half of the spots already taken, the guys that have already won races, you've seen a couple guys that have already won a couple, like Kyle Busch. Well, they can go on and just do a lot of experimenting with the cars, but it gives them a lot of latitude to maybe go for more wins themselves. So that's going to further reduce the chances of guys who are not in the playoffs right now to really start pushing it. I mean, they can't take anything for granted. They've got to give it their 100%, going forward for the next, 17 races or 16 races. I remember when we've got left to go before the playoffs. I mean, this is one of those situations you've got to win no matter what. You've got to go when that green flag drops. You have to have the mindset you're going to go for the win no matter what.
How much is heat going to play a factor in this race this week? I know they're talking about temperatures being in the 90s. How is that going to impact this track?
They've had heat like this in Kansas. I mean, remember, we have 2 races a year in Kansas, and usually the fall race is a little cooler, but still, I mean, it's gotten toasty. I've been in Kansas where it's gotten over 100 degrees, and that's just, as a fan. I mean, in the car, you're talking 130, 140 degrees. So, yeah, it's a factor. Okay. But, but they get heat everywhere, so it's if they're not prepared for it, then they're the ones that are going to be in trouble.
Jerry, always appreciate it, my friend. Jerry Bonkowski, check him out, NASCAR.com and Auto Week. Be well, my friend. Enjoy the racing this weekend.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. You too.
We're coming back. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it, my friend.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll talk to you next week.
Have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You too, man. All right. Take care.
He knows. See, he's good. You know, some guys I try to give them a little clue by being like, okay, because they can't hear the music. So that's the difference between that's the only problem with the interview being run on my end versus your end is they can't hear the music playing them out. So it gets tricky when that happens. Yeah. No, I had to lower my mic for a second. My husband was asking me a question. Yeah. Orders. Let's see. Your stuff. Orders. I don't even know where I'd find this. Let me see. I don't have any way to check, babe. I don't even know where I would look. All right, they have hit the fourth quarter, rather the third quarter, second half. Denver, I like this. This is a good jam. Denver, Denver trails Phoenix 69-59, 10:09 to go in the third quarter. The 76ers are down 2-1 to the Boston Celtics after a loss tonight at home in Philadelphia. Doc Rivers met with the media a short time ago.
You know, I'm going to go watch it. I just didn't think we had any pace. We had stretches, in the game where I thought we went downhill with speed and force. We made the right plays, and then we had stretches where we just didn't. So I'll rather watch the game first, and then I'll answer that question. Just force, in traffic. Honestly, I thought the difference in the game, from my view, was that they made the simple passes, and we didn't. I mean, there was a ton of them for us. And then all the game-changing plays, 2 games in a row now. Every time we cut it to 4, we have a chance, offensive rebound or a loose ball or a charge. They did the little things better than we did the little things tonight, for sure.
Took care of the boards, too. They did.
Yeah, I mean, the boards are relatively even when you look at them. 3 difference, that's because we missed more shots. But they're winning the possession game overall, the last 2 games. And to me, that's been the deciding factor. What did they have, 8 more shots or 10 more shots? They didn't shoot well. They shot 44%. We shot 39%. We shot better from the 3, but they got extra possessions. And then they got to the foul line. It wasn't a lot of fouling today in general. We got to the foul line, so it was really the extra possessions.
Not only did James struggle in terms of his actual shots he took, shots that turned down.
Yeah.
What did you see?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll go look. I thought there was a couple of times we came out of a timeout where, really thought we had the lane. I thought we were trying to snake dribble more than just go straight down and make plays. That's something we talked about, getting into the paint with force, with pace. And if they come, let's make plays. Just didn't think we did that. So we'll figure it out. We'll be good.
We have to do a good time restoring.
Give him the ball more. He's got to get the ball more too. I got on him in the first quarter. There were 2 or 3 times where he had the ball and gave it up. There one time when, I think Jalen had it at the top. He just stood in the corner, and I asked him if that was Kobe Bryant, you think Kobe's going to stand? No, he's going to come get the ball. And you're one of our scorers. You got to act like that all the time. And his defense is hard. It really is. He doesn't get the ball enough, and we have to get him more involved. Yeah. I don't think it was his biggest factor. I thought we had lanes. I really do. We got in the paint. We just didn't get in the paint with force. I thought there were so many times where we could have taken the lane and just taken it and gone downhill and made plays at the rim or made plays for passes, and we just stopped and didn't do it.
How do you think Joel looked?
He looked good. We gotta get him, as much as he was involved. There were stretches where he didn't touch the ball, and there were stretches where he didn't touch it when I thought he should have touched it. So we'll see that on film.
Tobias got in foul trouble.
Yeah.
Really, do you think maybe
that always affects you? You come in, you want to play well. I mean, Tobias came with the right spirit, and you pick up those fouls, and then the game usually goes downhill for you. I thought Jalen was fantastic in the first half. That's the type of energy we need from him. D'Anthony Melton was overall great throughout the game. I mean, it's a miss league. He made some, he missed some. Tuck was good as well, and Tuck gave us a lift, especially defensively. So, I thought we did enough. If we had executed better offensively, we got to execute better. We got to trust better. We got to trust. I thought the difference in that game was Boston trusted the pass more than we did, and I thought that was the difference in the game. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Doc Rivers, thoughts with him after a loss tonight in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semifinal series. Celtics lead that series 2-1, and we'll see how Doc's team rebounds. I mean, next game basically becomes a must-win for them. Can't imagine them coming back down 3-1 in that series. So we'll see what happens in Game 5. Is that right? Are they playing Game 4? No, they're not playing those all back-to-back. Are they playing Game 4 and Game 5 back-to-back in that series? Is that possible? In the Celtics... then the dates on these things must be wrong on ESPN, because they've got Game 4 listed on Sunday. Okay, see, it's more accurate. They have two different things. They have one thing on the box score where it says they're playing Saturday and where they're playing Sunday and Monday. So they're going to play Game 4 of that series on Sunday. Game 5 will be on Tuesday, back in Boston. So that's what you got in that series. Sometimes ESPN just they drop the ball on it. They have one page that says one thing and then one page that says another. I'm like, there's no way they're playing on back-to-back nights. Tomorrow, you've got the Knicks and Heat in Miami, 12:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC, and then Golden State and Los Angeles, game 3 of that series. Both of those series, game 3s. The lowest ticket prices available right now on like StubHub for Lakers Warriors in LA tomorrow, $412. That's the lowest price ticket. You'd be sitting with an oxygen mask in the top of crypto.com arena. Knicks and Heat, $118 is the entry point for a playoff ticket to that. What's the most you've ever paid for a ticket for a sporting event? Any idea? Really? You're a baller, man. You're a baller. See, that's why you got a blue check. Now we know. See? I'm trying to think. I think one time I bought a single ticket and went to a Yankee game. I don't know if I've ever paid over $100 for a ticket. Because, see, again, point of privilege. When you work in this industry, especially being on the air, one of the perks is always that there's a lot of free tickets floating around. You know, radio stations and people and stuff like that. So I don't generally pay to go to a lot of sporting events. But if I do, again, this is terrible. I'm not meaning to sound this way tonight. It's just coming out this way. But I used to be like bleacher guy. I only would sit in the bleachers in right field at Yankee Stadium. My friend Michael Giltz and I used to go sit out in the bleachers out there in the old, well, not the old Yankee Stadium, but the last version of Yankee Stadium. We used to sit out in the bleachers in right field. Once I started sitting in like good seats, I can't go back to the bleachers. I can't do it. I can't go back to like beer being spilled on the back of my legs by some drunkard behind me. People just yelling crazy stuff. A lot of homophobic, bigoted things get said in the bleachers. People are just, it's just a much more rambunctious crowd. So I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. You're right. Come on, man. Well, it's true. Listen, I feel bad. I will tell you something. True story, and I can get this guy on the phone right now and he will vouch. When I used to work in Hartford, I used to host Afternoon Drive in Hartford, Connecticut on the ESPN radio affiliate there. And if I got tickets to something, I made sure my producer got tickets, and I would always go to games. We used to spend so much time together. By the time we were done 3 years later, we hated each other because we were like a married couple. We spent so much time together, but it was because I always wanted to take care of him. If I got a free dinner somewhere, I made sure he got the free dinner with me. Like, I always take care of my people. I have always took care of my people. So I am not going to take any guff from anybody because I take care of my folks. That's all I'm going to say. If I get free tickets to something and you're working in the same area as me, I will make sure you get tickets too. But we don't work in the same place together, unfortunately. Sorry. Come on. You're much more than just a part-timer. Yeah. I don't think of you as just a part-timer. It's like a love fest going on in here. Gonna start rumors about us. Another hour of the show is right around the corner. Phoenix now only up 1 on Denver midway through the third quarter. We'll hear from Joe Mazzulla in the next hour, the head coach of the Celtics. Stick around. Ain't over yet. They'll find a way to win. They ain't gonna lose this game. Oh boy, now they're losing. You're missing. I like hard rock. But sometimes I like the hip hop stuff, older hip hop, like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, that sort of thing. My taste is all over the place. I like 80s, Def Leppard, Van Halen. My taste is pretty, well, my husband won't agree with this, but I think my taste is pretty eclectic. He's probably laughing right now as I say that, but. Wah, 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 wah. I got a sweet tooth right now. I've got a craving for like Sour Patch Bears or something like that. I love those Sour Patch Bears. There's a candy store, gourmet candy store down the street where they sell them by the pound, and you can literally get like every flavor known to man, like mojito flavored, like stupid gourmet Sour Patch gummies. And they're not like the ones in the bag that are like rock hard. These are like soft, chewy, very yummy Sour Patch gummies. But they're the worst thing for me because I'm trying to keep my A1C down and my glucose levels down and stuff like that. So it's the worst thing I could possibly have, but I just have a craving right now. I got a sweet tooth for it. That is definitely one of my guilty pleasures. One of. Honey buns. Cinnamon rolls. You know what else I like? I love going to Wetzel's Pretzels and getting the pretzel bites and dipping them in caramel sauce, hot caramel sauce. Oh my God. What? You've never heard of Wetzel's Pretzels? Really? Come on. I got to look this up. Wetzel's Pretzels, Houston. Come on. There's got to be one there. There's one at the Galleria. Come on. See? Now I just proved you wrong and you're going to tell me it's the only one. Get your ass over to the Galleria and get some Wetzel's Pretzels. I promise you will not regret it. Come on. It's a bad job by you. Bad job. Wetzel's Pretzels. Yeah, 5050 West Alabama. That is right next to the station. Final hour of a Friday/Saturday edition of the show. Phoenix up 3 on Denver. KD doing work. Man, I am starting to discover just how sheltered a life our producer Charles Carter lives like when I'm not around. How am I the one exposing you to these things? Sheltered. No, let me tell you something. Wetzel's Pretzels is made for poor people. Come on. It's cheap. That's not true. There's a Sonic here in Palm Springs that I don't know if it's Palm Springs or just outside the city limits, but there's a couple of Sonics out here. There's a couple of Sonics. And I have and see, to show I am a man of the people and blue collared, and I don't just go to frou-frou bunches at places called Cheekies like we're going to tomorrow. No, or Lulu's. No, I go to Sonic, and I go to Wetzel's Pretzels. I am a man of the people. There, I have spoken. Trust me, I don't have nearly as much as you think I do. So we were just discussing during the break that I have a sweet tooth right now, and I have a craving, a hankering for Sour Patch Bears. And there's these gourmet Sour Patch Bears at this place called Lolly and Pops, which is a chain, but they have like gourmet candies and things like that. And God, I'm sounding so frou-frou tonight. It's terrible. There's a place called Lolly and Pops, and it's like $9 a pound of for a pound. It's stupid expensive. But we go there from time to time and we'll pick some up. And I said, I got a sweet tooth tonight. I'm really craving like something sweet, which isn't good for me because of my A1C and my glucose and all that stuff, my sugar levels. Not that I'm a diabetic, but I'm trying to get some things under control. So I was saying that was kind of one of my guilty pleasures, as Charles, our producer, referred to. And then Charles told me his guilty pleasure is Cinnabon. Cinnamon rolls. Yeah, it's fine. But you know what? Yeah. But I said, you should try, and I said to him, you should try Wetzel's Pretzels and go get their pretzel bites. They're like lightly glazed, and they you can get them salted or unsalted, and they have different dipping sauces, and I'm a big fan of the caramel. So I said to Charles, go to Wetzel's Pretzels. He's like, that must be a West Coast thing. I've never heard of it. There's literally one right behind where the dude is working right now. There's literally a Wetzel's Pretzels in the Galleria Mall in Houston, right behind where you're working. So now there's no excuse. They open up at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Get your you-know-what over there and go try Wetzel's Pretzels. This is not a paid advertisement. Has Charles just shut me out? That's it? You're just done? You should do it, and you should like put it on social media and like tag me, and I'll make sure people see it. Yeah, I think there's more than one. There's another one on Westheimer Road. The Woodlands, it's Sugarland. Yeah, it's Sugarland. Okay, how far is Sugarland? Is Sugarland full of sweets because it's called Sugarland? Oh, all right. That's disappointing. Because I would definitely make my way over to Sugarland if that was the case. Okay. It's kind of the shishi area of, the Houston. Okay. Yes. Used to be an Atlantic League team that played at Sugarland too. Back in the day. The Skeeters. It was the Sugarland Skeeters. Of course I did. I used to do play-by-play in the Atlantic League. Yeah, I was with the Newark Bears about 17 years ago. Long before the Skeeters were even around. I got to do some games in the Atlantic League. It was fun. Good times. Ricky Henderson was on our team one year. Yes. Ricky Henderson at the very end of his playing days played some games for us in the Atlantic League. It was kind of fun. The phone number 1-800-224-2004. Tonight is Ask Paige Anything night. I have not promoted it enough, but you can literally ask me anything tonight. 800-224-2004. You can also hit us up on the cash in text line. 888-670-8549. 888-670-8549. You got a betting question, a sports question, a non-sports question, anything you want, you can hit us up. Our 2-for-1 tonight, which means you're going to hear it in this hour, is my conversation with our good friend Bob Nightingale, who does a terrific job with USA Today, their senior MLB writer. Got to talk to him about a number of things around baseball tonight, both in the American League and the National League. So that is coming up. Joe Mazzulla is the head coach of the Boston Celtics. They are up 2-1 after a resounding win in Philadelphia against the 76ers tonight. I think 112-104 was the final. Here is the Celtics head coach, Joe Mazzulla, post-game here.
15 points for James Harden, 11 assists. Joe Mazzulla sitting down at the podium. Let's listen in.
You're still covered in blood, like one cut back in.
He can handle it.
And he came back in there and seemed to handle it. You guys
Yes.
were able to take a beat out at the end of the game. Just how big was that for you guys? Like eventually find a way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we changed the matchups on Embiid throughout the night, and every guy that guarded him did a great job in their own way, defending him. Grant, Smart, Al, we were switching at the end, Malcolm, Jay, whoever was on him, I thought they just did the best they could. And so, we defended them as a team.
What have you done differently with Art in the last 2 games? He's going for 40. You made 3 shots, I think, in the last 2 nights.
I mean, we're just trying to make him work. He's obviously a great player and can score at all 3 levels. And so we're just trying to make him work as much as we can. Try to keep him off the free throw line. And so the guys are just working to take away those details.
You talk a lot about the playoffs, particularly how you handle things when they're not going your way. It seemed like tonight every time it started to have something, you guys push back. What did you like about having the ability to do that and having that successful?
The guys just kept an awareness and a poise to what was necessary, and I think we lost the first quarter, and then I think we won the end of the second, third, and fourth. We lost the end of the first, and so I think we managed the game well at the end of quarters. But we have, our guys continue to execute on the offensive end, which is huge against this team because of their ability to get out in transition. But there's definitely areas of the game that we can get better at, that we have to get better at.
You pointed to Al Horford's 3-point attempts the other night after he was 1 for 8. That's a good thing. How important is his shooting in this series, and especially with Embiid?
Yeah, I mean, it's important in every series. Like, I love when Al shoots the ball and shoots it with confidence and doesn't hesitate, and so we need him to be aggressive, confident. He's a huge piece to our team, our locker room, everything, and so I think he's getting really good looks, and I don't think he's hesitating, and that's good.
You defended Embiid sometimes with guards, with smaller guys. What are the challenges of that for you guys, and then what are the benefits of it that you've seen over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, with those guys, there's always a pro and a con to a matchup and a situation, and so I think just trying to give them different looks, trying to take away different angles. Every matchup presents a different angle that he has to fight for to get the ball. So just trying to do the best we can with the different guys. We have a ton of versatility, and the guys take pride in defense, and so they just work to try to make it difficult for them.
You guys struggled with team fouls, especially that first half. Philly was like 15 for 15 with the free throw. What kind of adjustments did you make on defense to sort of correct that? Because we saw a much different approach in the second half.
Stop fouling.
I mean, did you tell them, like, guys, stop fouling?
Yes, that's exactly what I said. But they told them they know, so our guys, again, they have an awareness to understanding how the game is going, and so I think it's pretty obvious. Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did you guys handle the atmosphere? Do you think the pregame thing pumped guys up, or did any of the guys watch it? Like, what was that like, and how did they handle this tough environment?
I mean, they've been here before, and so I think just embracing it. I think sticking together. I thought the guys that, when the way they communicate in timeouts, the way they communicate to each other after timeouts, the way they communicate to each other during the game is the most important. So those guys have a togetherness and a connectivity, and I think that's how you have to get through. You got to manage your expectations. You got to know that what you're up against, and so it's not going to go your way, as you guys said. And so understanding that, and then just building an awareness to when it's not, how quickly can we get it back. But it's them. They communicate, they stick together, and they execute.
So there you go. Joe Mazzulla, thoughts with him after a Celtics 112-104 win over the 76ers in Game 3 tonight in Philadelphia. They lead that series 2-1. Phoenix trying to avoid going into a 3-0 deficit tonight at home, minus Chris Paul, who's dealing with a groin injury for at least this game. He will not be back. And right now they are at the end of 3. It's Phoenix 90. Denver 88. So Hold on tight if you are a fan of the Phoenix Suns. I know you're listening to us down there on KDUS in Phoenix. Well, you may not be listening tonight because you might just be watching the game. But if you are listening, we're hoping Phoenix makes a series of it. You know, I mean, like to see this Suns team be able to make it interesting. And I'll tell you, that team, you know, assuming the worst case scenario and Phoenix loses this series, I mean, down 2-0, it's obviously a tall order to win 4 of the next 5 games. But you're talking about, you know, an aging Chris Paul having to make a decision as to whether or not to keep him. He will be owed $16 million regardless of whether they cut him before the mid-June deadline. Then they have to pay him his entire salary for next year. I mean, if you cut him loose, do you go after Kyrie Irving? Kyrie, KD together again? We're coming back with more of the Cash In at SportsMap Radio. Yeah. Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. What is it? Phoenix 95, Denver 88, 10:44 to go in the fourth. I have not given you a live betting number all night, and that is a terrible job by me. 97-88 Phoenix on top of Denver. Right now it is Denver plus 6.5, plus 450 on the money line if you want Denver. If you're looking for some value and you think Denver's going to basically put this series away. The total is 233.5. If you're looking for a betting total. 10:29 to go in the fourth. 97-88 Phoenix. Timeout on the floor. Nuggets calling it after Devin Booker hits a heck of a fall-away jumper to make that a 9-point game. So Denver plus 6.5 plus 420. Charles, if you were a betting man right now, I won't hold you to it. Don't worry. I'm not going to make it an official cash-in live bet. Where would you go? Plus 6.5 to Denver right now. Don't worry. Nobody's going to lose the mortgage based on what you think. You would take the 6.5? You think Denver's going to make it at least close? Yeah, I think you're kind of right. I'm kind of thinking the same. I ask because I want to see sometimes if somebody will validate my thinking and my gut right now, and it's nothing more than my gut. Because I have watched this entire game, but I still don't have a great feel for it. I would probably take Denver plus the 6.5 right now as well. I wouldn't take them on the money line. I don't think they're going to win. And if you've listened all night, I've said I thought Phoenix would win the game. But I could see Denver making it close. I don't think Denver's going to run away and hide here. Down 9. Right. I know what you mean. Before we get to our friend Bob Nightingale from USA Today, their fantastic senior baseball writer over there, talk all things MLB with him. Can I talk a little bit about Robert Saleh? This is what it looks like, and this is what it sounds like when an organization gets on bended knee and is so desperate to win a Super Bowl. This is what it sounds like when a team is so hungry and so unfulfilled and is dying to win a Super Bowl. This is what a head coach sounds like. I mean, Robert Saleh is not going to say anything even the slightest bit bad about his quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think he should. But at the same time, he's going so overboard to praise the guy that you could just tell. I mean, Aaron Rodgers could come in and say, Robert Saleh, I want you to coach the next practice in a dress. And Robert Saleh would show up in a dress the next day and coach practice. This real macho, tough, heavy-spoken head coach. Robert Saleh would show up the next day in a tutu if Aaron Rodgers asked him to right now. He will do anything Aaron Rodgers asks him to do, including getting on the media for reporting what was apparently true, that Rodgers had a wish list of guys that he wanted brought to New York. Here is Robert Saleh talking about just that.
Tell us about that conversation. With, because you would think a guy would tell you, hey, here's some guys I want to play with.
No, you know what? So I'm going to try to say this as respectfully as I can. I'm not attacking anyone. It's just I do think it's a silly narrative with regards to wish list. And I say that because there's 32 teams in the NFL, and it's common practice for when there's changes, when you have a new coaching staff, when you have people coming in, that you surround those people with people they're familiar with. I had a wish list. Solomon Thomas, Marcel Harris, DJ Reed, Quan Alexander, guys who I've worked with who are very familiar with our messaging, very familiar with our scheme, who can come in and play. We had it on offense with Laken Tomlinson and Tevin Coleman and guys who had been in the system. Tom Brady goes to Tampa and he gets Gronkowski and Antonio Brown. So it is very common for new faces to want old faces to be able to come in and help accelerate the installation of an entire of a program. So, and it's not just, everything's being pinned on the quarterback. It's not just him. Hackett has something to say about it. He loves Lazard, loves Randall, took Billy Turner with him to Denver, wanted him here in Green Bay. So, of course, you're going to surround a coach with people who he feels will be able to plant the flag. So, that whole narrative of whatever's what people are trying to put on the quarterback, I think it's tired, but it's common practice in the NFL.
So he tries to compare Rodgers. Remember, Rodgers also wanted OBJ. He wanted OBJ. He wanted Lazard. He wanted Randall Cobb. He wants, he wants everybody basically, whether they're still good or not. Here's the difference between Tom Brady asking for Rob Gronkowski. And by the way, Antonio Brown played for about 5 minutes on the New England Patriots. So I don't want to hear about Antonio Brown. The idea that he wants Gronk. Yes, Gronk is still a high level. At the time he brought him in, was still a high level tight end. The guys that Aaron Rodgers asked, Alan Lazard is like a fourth wide receiver on most teams. So yeah, him asking for guys like that is kind of laughable. It blows my mind. Robert Saleh just on bended knee, man. On bended. Oh, listen to him gush about Aaron Rodgers going to the Knicks game with teammates.
What does it show you going to the Knicks games and the Rangers games with Sauce and Priest? I know you've got the Knicks game as well. But just kind of him sort of embracing that role.
No, I think he's soaking it up. It's New York is different. Obviously, I don't want to speak for him, but I think deep down he's a big city guy at heart, and I think he's just been enjoying it. I know he was in absolute awe of Madison Square Garden, which I was too when I first went, and it's probably the coolest stadium in all of sports. But he's embracing. He's been enjoying all of it. But he is cool in the sense that when he is in here, though, it is football, and so it's been good.
Well, when he decides to attend OTAs, which is only going to be about 50% of the time, right? So anyway, I just think it's interesting. It's going to be fun to watch that throughout the whole season. How this Rodgers-Saleh relationship plays out. Yeah, and you know what? That's when you bond with your new teammates. That's when you develop rhythm. That's when you develop chemistry. It's when you start to get on the same page. And this guy doesn't want any part of it. It's just laughable. It's absolutely laughable. I might attend 50 to 60% of OTAs. And like I said, I just want to see how that shtick. If the Jets are winning, Robert Saleh is going to go with the program. He's just going to go with whatever. He's not going to rock the boat because Saleh knows Aaron Rodgers is his meal ticket. But if it's not going well, I want to see if Robert Saleh gets on him. I mean, look, remember, this is a Robert Saleh that hesitated to get on Zach Wilson when Zach Wilson was kind of running amok with the organization. And he was still trying to do right by that kid. I want to see what he does with Aaron Rodgers if Rodgers starts to kind of disengage from the program. Now, if the Jets are, 2-4 through the first 6 games, let's see what the schedule looks like when it comes out. We know who they're playing. We don't know when they're playing them. I mean, the Jets basically get an extra home game this year because they play against the Giants. It's technically a road game, but it's in their same stadium. I want to see what it looks like if the Jets are 2-4 or 3-4 through the first 7 games, 3rd or 4th place. It's just not clicking. Because this is a 1 year at a time deal for Aaron Rodgers. This isn't the sort of thing where he's there for 3 or 4 years. It's 1 year at a time. And I think this is probably the last team he plays on, barring something unforeseen. I think this is it. So if it doesn't go well after a year, does he just say, you know what, peace out. I'm going to sit in some hut in some, faraway South American country, and I'm just going to go chill out. Smoke mushrooms or eat mushrooms and ayahuasca, and I'm good. All right, we're going to switch gears for the 2-for-1. We'll keep you posted on what's going on in the Phoenix-Denver game. I think Phoenix was up 12 at last check. Let you know what's going on there. No Chris Paul tonight for Phoenix. We're going to come back, talk baseball with Bob Nightingale. USA Today's senior baseball writer. Stick around for that. The cash-in rolls along on a Friday at SportsMap Radio. What the hell is a 7? Let's see here. 640. Yeah, this is going to be a sweat for 6.5. Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very familiar to our audience.
I'm
Bob
ready for the
Nightingale,
weekend.
USA Today senior MLB writer, joins us on the. That's a great line and very true. Great line and very true. I was watching him. He can't even jump. It's so funny. Like, they were batting around a loose ball, and all he had to do was jump up and grab. He can't even get his feet off the ground. Like, he is the most unathletic basketball player outside of like Arvydas Sabonis back in the day. He is the least athletic basketball player ever.
For sure.
Here's a question I always have. Where is the microphone on these players who are mic'd up? Because I'm looking around on Cameron Payne, and I don't see no microphone. Okay. Okay. See, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I'm looking at Cameron Payne. I don't see a single mic on that dude. Do a quick rejoin here. Not that I need it. It's just I want to have as much time on the back end of the interview. We're cashing tickets all around. It's the worst commercial ever. Continuing on this Friday edition of the show, our 2-for-1 tonight is a man very familiar to our audience. Bob Nightingale, USA Today senior MLB writer, joins us on the program. All right, let's start in the American League and start with just wrapped up shortly before we came on the air tonight. Tampa Bay beats the Yankees, start of a 3-game series at the Trop. The place had a lot of people in it for a change. And Tampa Bay just continues to roll this year. They're 27-6. They are 18-2 at home. They won a close one tonight. Talk about this Rays team, and I mean, is this something that is sustainable?
I'm not sure this pace, but I think they're certainly a 100-win team for sure. I think they got to be the heavy favorite now to win the AL East, and then it's not by a fluke. I mean, just everything's going right. I mean, they're hitting, they're pitching, they're playing great defense. So yeah, it's not like Pittsburgh. It's not a lot of fluke wins here and there. No, they just keep doing it, game after game. I do think it's sustainable.
Bob, how do they? The payroll is like nothing. I mean, there's got to be some disconnect. It can't, I mean, because in that regard, it is fluky when you look at the team's payroll and match it up with, the rest of the big payrolls around baseball. Are they really just that good about where they're spending their money, their scouting, picking up guys in free agency, whatever it may be? There's got to be something we're missing here.
Yeah, I mean, they find guys that teams don't think that much of. And they trade guys, at the right time. I mean, when they traded Blake Snell, he was a Cy Young winner, and he's been very mediocre in San Diego. Trade Austin Meadows. He hasn't done anything in Cleveland. They know their guys better than anybody else. I mean, every team should, but they don't make mistakes. Just a very sharp front office. Guys are comfortable playing there with the coaching staff. Guys leave there, and they're not the same guy. Chris Archer wasn't the same guy. But these, make fabulous moves. And, they're an outlier when everybody complains about, big market versus small market. I mean, here's a small market team doing it year after year.
And I got to say, Bob, I know a 15,000 on a weeknight to most people is no big deal. But when I see them draw 15,000 on a weeknight against Pittsburgh, granted, Pittsburgh's been a surprise, and we'll get to them in a second. It's kind of interesting to me. It almost feels like people are slowly starting to come around in that market to come and watch this team. They're never going to draw 35,000 fans on a weeknight or anything like that, like you see with the Cardinals, Yankees, Dodgers, the Mets, so on. But it does feel like fans are starting to buy in to this team being perennially good, and maybe that helps provide the impetus for them to get a stadium deal done.
Yeah, and I think, the fans don't want to see that team leave. I think the fans are realizing, oh, my God, we got the best team in baseball. Everybody's writing about us. Everybody has us on TV now. We're a fun team, exciting team. It's just a bad location, and, nobody wants to be indoors on a nice night. It reminds a lot of the Metrodome, Minnesota. Same thing. Fans were not showing up. When the Twins started winning, then fans started showing up. I think the same thing here. I know they're supposed to take the tarp off today at the in the upper deck.
They did
for the series, so finally get some nice crowds in there.
All right, move from Tampa Bay to Baltimore. We say Tampa Bay is sustainable. Is Baltimore sustainable?
I think they could sort of compete for a wild card spot. Last year they came out of nowhere, and they were right in the playoff race until the very end. This is after showing off a couple pieces at trade deadline. So I do. I remember in spring training, two GMs, one in particular, says, you know what, my bold pick right now is the Yankees don't make the playoffs. And I was like, come on, they're going to make the playoffs. He goes, look at that division. I mean, you're looking at the Rays, the Blue Jays, and the Orioles. You can see the Yankees getting left behind.
How much is the unbalanced schedule contributing to this? The fact that you don't have to see Baltimore play the Yankees 15 or 18 times and vice versa.
Yeah, it's much more fair. At least now, it's like teams in the AL Central, AL West, particularly AL Central, have such a huge advantage playing against a soft division, game after game. So it will help. I mean, it's only 6 games different per team. But for a team like Baltimore, they would have to get their brains beat in by the Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox sort of thing. So I think it does make a difference. But I do think it's much more fair.
Bob Nightingale, USA Today senior MLB writer, joining us here on the Cash In the 2-for-1 tonight. Stay in that AL East. Let's just finish it out. Boston, has surprised some people here, winning the 6 straight. They're in Philadelphia tonight. Toronto at 19-14 was in a bit of a skid for a little while, and then obviously the Yankees who are dealing with all these injuries, and you got to send Brian Cashman out there into the dugout one day this week just to address the media because everybody's losing their minds that the Yankees are 17-16 when half their team is on the injury list.
Right. I know. Just everybody panics so much. Everyone wants people fired. Now you want the new White Sox manager Pedro Gaffal fired. You want Oli Marmol fired. Fans wanted Aaron Boone fired this week. Talking to Dave Martinez, the Nationals manager, and they were 19-31 in 2019. They stayed the course and won it all. It's like you got to give a little more time. You got to give it at least another month and a half to see what a team really is about.
Yeah, people, even Rob Thompson in Philadelphia, and I'll get to the NL in a second, but even Rob Thompson in Philadelphia, this guy was the toast of the town last year when Joe Girardi got let go. The team goes on a run. They make the playoffs. It's great. Now all of a sudden people are losing their minds about Rob Thompson?
Yeah, it's like, what have you done for me lately?
Wow.
It's like people are going crazy over Twin La Russa. But you know what? The same guys, and they're playing worse than the new manager, Pedro Gaffal, they were La Russa. So all of a sudden people are saying, you know what? It wasn't La Russa's fault after all. Now they're all over everybody in the front office.
I'll gloss over the AL Central because it just seems like that division is the same every year where somebody's going to win, 88 games, 87 games and win the division. It'll be Minnesota or Cleveland, and we'll figure it all out later. AL West, I know Houston's dealing with a lot of injuries in the pitching department. Where do they go right now? I know it's early, and like Brian Cashman was saying, you can't really go and trade for guys this early, so you just got to kind of rely on some of these other arms that you have floating around in the minor leagues. Is that what Houston has to do right now with 3/5 of their rotation in doubt right now?
Yeah, they do. No choice. Garcia was had such a good season last year. They were counting on him big time. Or Kitty, not too much. 4th, 5th starter, but still. And of course McCullers, such a veteran. So yeah, big blows. And this is after losing, in the beginning before the season started. When you lose Michael Brantley and Jose Altuve, 2 big guys, particularly Altuve. So yeah, they just got to hold the course here and hold on tight until June rolls around and hoping to get some help.
Josh Young has been fantastic in Texas, really developing into the star that I think they all thought he would be with the Rangers. I know they've had some injuries, some issues as far as arms, but you look at run differential, they're basically the second best in the American League. Is Texas early to the party right now?
Yeah, I thought they'd be at least a year away. But yeah, it shows you too what a manager can do. That's pretty much the same team, particularly since DeGrom's been hurt. And here's Bruce Bochy, getting this team right, by himself. But they're playing, very good baseball. The offense is really powerful, and the pitching a little bit better than expected. But you look at their new pitching coach is the Cardinals' old pitching coach, Mike Maddox, and he's done wonders.
Continuing the conversation with Bob Nightingale, USA Today, senior MLB writer, joining us here on the program. All right, move over to the National League here for a second. Talk a little bit about this National League Central with Pittsburgh, obviously at 20-13. I was having a conversation with Brian Kenny last week over at MLB Network, and he says that he thinks Pittsburgh is still a little early to the party. They're at least a year away from being able to contend. I know they just went into Tampa Bay and got their clocks
Central. They're in a bad division. But I do think
I am here to fulfill Raza Ghul's destiny.
What did you do? You forgot Houston again? Did you forget that local station? So what happens when you forget that? So both of them were going out? Oh, God. For the last 43 minutes. You mean 10 o'clock your time. So like an hour and 43 minutes ago? Oh, my God. Yeah. Uh-huh. Case of a good man keeping us down. Got to set a reminder in your phone or something to tell you. You know? What on earth are you playing? Is there a reason? This isn't like, Jason's gay, so we're playing like, Gloria Gaynor or anything like that. No. Just check it. I mean, I wouldn't be offended if you did. Okay. Just trying to figure out why you played it. Like you were sitting there and thought, yeah, you know what? I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor is a great choice tonight. Yeah. All right. Yeah. You're reaching. You are reaching right now. 1:05 to go in the fourth. Phoenix leads Denver 116-107 on a Devin Booker layup there. So this is looking iffy for that 6.5 that we're given. Yeah, not looking too good. Looking forward to the playoff action all weekend, though. Some baseball with the Yankees and Rays. I think there's going to be some fireworks there on Saturday or Sunday with Randy Arozarena getting plunked twice in the game tonight after hitting a home run and hot dogging it around the bases. I got a feeling he was Hollywooding. That's the best way to say it. I got a feeling tonight that Saturday, Sunday, you're going to see some fireworks in that series with the Yankees and Rays. Just make sure that you remember, I told you so. Text from Shane in Dallas, listening on 97.1 The Freak, because we were talking about doing the show on location. He says, if you decide on doing a remote in Texas, don't come between mid-May through October. It would be like doing your remote in Satan's crotch with the heat and humidity. Would you buy that? So I can't do a remote between May and October? I'm not doing the show outside. I was there in July. I was in Houston in July back in 2018. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Might have been 2019. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. It was the worst. It was 2018. Yeah, it was 2018. Yeah. Okay. Oh, big three from Denver makes it 116-110. That's within 6.5. 1:03 to go in the game. More of my conversation now with Bob Nightingale. Nightingale, USA Today, senior MLB writer, joining us here on the program. All right, move over to the National League here for a second. Talk a little bit about this National League Central with Pittsburgh, obviously at 20-13. I was having a conversation with Brian Kenny last week over at MLB Network, and he says that he thinks Pittsburgh is still a little early to the party. They're at least a year away from being able to contend. I know they just went into Tampa Bay and got their clocks cleaned a bit. They've lost 5 in a row, leaking a little bit of oil. Have we seen the best of the Pirates? Or can they kind of right the ship?
I think they'll hang around just because of NL Central. They're in a bad division, but I do think they're a year away. I agree with that. A couple of GMs have told me they'd be surprised if they finish 500. I think they will finish around 500, just because the division's so bad. But yeah, at least it shows the fans, hey, here's light in the tunnel here. We're not that far away. And, look out next year. They should be a serious contender.
Yeah, and O'Neal Cruz still isn't back from injury, and when they get him back, that'll obviously improve some things a bit. They gave a $100 million deal to Brian Reynolds. First time they've ever done that in their franchise history. That has to give fans a little bit something to root for. And again, you're right, that division, again, much like the AL Central, just feels like it's one that's going to meander through the season, and we'll look up in September, and there'll be 3 teams in the mix. The Cubs have been a bit of a surprise early on at 16-16. Do they have any staying power? What has surprised you about Chicago?
Well, they've been playing very good defense. Had some solid pitching, particularly starting rotation. And I think they'll hang around. I think same thing. I think they're a lot like Pittsburgh. 1 year away, should be around a 500 team. Then you say, okay, who's going to win this division? I mean, the Cardinals stink right now. It's really the Brewers' division to lose. But the Brewers just got swept in Colorado. Play a bad Rockies team. So we'll see. But I think you can win that division by winning 86, 87 games.
NL West, Dodgers, Arizona, San Diego, all near the top of that division right now. The Dodgers playing better baseball of late. They've won 8 of 10. San Diego. We all thought this was a Dodgers-Padres sort of division and a race to the finish this year. It's starting to shape up that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I wish I Padres, Dodgers all over again. I mean, people are running the Dodgers off, but they still have, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, on and on, and some great young talent. So I think it'll be a dogfight all year between Dodgers, Padres. I think Arizona's the same thing, 1 year away. They're short in pitching. They got 2 starting pitchers, and then a big drop off. But they're a fun team to watch, an improved team. And they should hang around at least in the wild card race.
But again, when you talk about all these wild card teams, it feels like a lot of these teams are going to be able to hang around through much of the season, get to the trade deadline, and potentially make a move that gets them over the hump, don't they? I mean, in the case of a Pittsburgh or an Arizona, I mean, they've got the chips to do it, don't they?
They do. But when you're a team like Pittsburgh, Arizona, you've gone through this painful rebuild. You don't want to go backwards and say, oh, man, I'm going to trade my prospects now to go get some immediate help. You've been just patient, you've gone through all the pain, want to hold on, one more a year from now. So I don't see those teams doing it. And also, when you look at the trade deadline, you're not going to see, a Max Scherzer or Trey Turner, traded. I think it's going to be a very soft trade market. There's too many teams in the race.
A couple of issues outside of all these teams we're talking about before I let you go. Obviously, the situation in Oakland. We looked this week at 2 nights where they drew less than 3,000 fans. Is baseball just going to let this happen for the next 2 years where this thing is an absolute dumpster fire to watch in Oakland? It already has been for a long time. But is baseball just going to sit idly by and watch this?
I think they will. I think they feel like they have no choice, and they can't force the owner to spend money. They can't force them to, make trades and sign free agents. So, I just saw where A's now are selling tickets for the rest of the summer, $99. Whatever amount of games you want to go come see.
Wow.
So, it's a shame. And we'll see what happens. I mean, nothing's been brought up in the Nevada legislature yet. They need $500 million for funding to build a new stadium. So, and pretty much Nevada's already said, hey, we're tapped out. We gave all our money to the Raiders and got our hockey team. So we'll see what happens.
$99, go see as many games as you want. Could you imagine? It's mind-boggling when you think about it. I'll tell you one guy who's going to play his way out of there, and I say that in a good way. Brent Rooker's off to a great start for them. He's sort of a journeyman, was in the Twins organization for a while. If he keeps playing well, that feels like the kind of guy they'd move later on, doesn't it?
It does, but it's the type of guy you should keep. But yeah, you're right.
But they're not. They're not going to keep him if he's any good.
No, well, as long as they're not making money, you might as well. But yeah, they do have a couple young pitchers that have stepped up and have done well. But yeah, it's a joke what's going on there, and you feel so bad for the players stuck there and a guy like Bishop Veteran and a Mark Coxey, the manager.
Yeah, you do. Last one before I let you go. What's the reaction around baseball to Wander Franco flipping a baseball around? And I know Brian Reynolds was upset about it with the Pirates. Are people around baseball as angry as the media makes it sound? Or is it really just, a select few grumpy people that are mad that, he's sort of hot dogging it and trying to provide a little more entertainment value? I've gotten to the point where this stuff used to bother me, and now I just accept it's part of the game. It's built into the entertainment value of baseball. The bat flips, the showboating going around the bases, it's just all built in, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot like the bat flip. When bat flip was upsetting everybody, now people tolerate it and say, okay, it's good for the game, it's good for the young kids. I mean, we'll see if young kids start doing what, Franco did. Franco would drop that ball, he would look like a complete idiot. So, you got to be careful there as well. So we'll see. I don't think this one bothered people too much, because I think one of the things too is, okay, did he do it on purpose? Did it slip out of the hand? Sort of thing. Where the bat flip is becoming accepted. I'm not sure this will be accepted yet, but I'm not sure we got a reason for him, whether he did it on purpose or what. I didn't get my hand right on it, so I had to do it that way.
So there you go. Bob Nightingale from USA Today does a great job on Major League Baseball. That's going to do it for this week on the Cash In programming note. I am off on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday. Have yourselves a great weekend. I'll see you all back here on Tuesday. Phoenix beats Denver by 7. Not 6.5. 7. I'll see you later. Have a good night. All right. Bye. All right, that does it for us on the video side as well. Everybody have a great night. Have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend wherever you are. We'll see you back here on Tuesday, off on Monday. Going to be off every Monday in the month of May. So I'll see you all back here on Tuesday night. Have yourselves a great night, great weekend. Stay safe. I'm Jason. See you back here next Tuesday.